Good evening and welcome to the Private Property Podcast, where we provide you with valuable knowledge and information on anything and everything property related. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, a seasoned investor, or just looking for some expert advice, we have got you covered. Tune in every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. for tips, insights, and expert advice on all burning topics related to anything property. This podcast is brought to you proudly by privateproperty.co.za. Welcome to the Private Property Podcast. On tonight's episode, we'll be exploring the world of interlocking compressed earth blocks, or ICEBs. What makes them so special? How do they differ from conventional building materials? And are they a sustainable solution for the built environment sector? Joining me in studio is Mpho Ngobeni, who is the marketing manager for a local company called Hydraform. They specialize in alternative building technologies. She's also brought along her colleague Bafokeng from the built environment sector, who regularly uses the Hydraform products. But before we dive into this conversation, remember to comment below and share your thoughts on today's show. You can join the conversation by using the hashtag find your new home on privateproperty.co.za and hashtag the Private Property Podcast on all social media. We'll be keeping an eye out for all of your posts, and we may even feature some of your comments on the show, because this is the Private Property Podcast, where we provide you with valuable information on anything and everything property related, like we said. As I said before, I am joined in studio by two wonderful guests, Mpho and Bafokeng. Thank you so much for joining me. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Listen, before we continue, please explain to me what exactly are interlocking compressed earth blocks? How do they differ from conventional building materials?
Sibs, the fundamental thing about interlocking blocks is the manufacturing process, and it's the mixed design, and that's what sets it apart from the conventional blocks. So our Hydraform interlocking blocks, for instance, make use of earth. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if you think about it, when you're making use of raw material, already you are preserving the environment, and so we make use of laterite soil. Most of our clients make use of on-site soil. So companies, mines, quarries have really benefited from this. So the mixed design is purely it's laterite soil, it's water, and it's only 10% use of cement. Mm-hmm. The impact, therefore, is quite substantial from a thermal properties perspective, because in the summer, the building itself repels the heat, and in the winter, it repels the cold. So it's really got superior quality thermal properties. But when I spoke about the manufacturing process, I meant if we have to think about the environments, there's something called the carbon footprint, and those are the emissions that we contribute by our actions to the environment. What that has been able to do is research shows that the conventional way of building or manufacturing blocks, we are damaging the environment by the measurement of it is millijoule per square meter, and it's the impact of about 1,600 impact on manufacturing a conventional brick.
Okay. If
you were to compare with an interlocking compressed soil block, it's only we only impact the environment by only 206, which is really, really tremendous. If you look at the long-term impact on the greenhouse gases.
Okay, so you're telling me, first of all, let's paint a picture of the difference between what you are doing, which is a compressed. I mean, if I break it down, they're interlocking, they're compressed, and it's soil, and it's a block. We are now saying let's use this versus the old sort of cement blocks, which were made how? You're saying that their footprint is very high in comparison to what Hydraform is making. What is that first thing that we were using?
So with the mixed design, you have it's crusher dust. So basically, in essence, it is one of those, like, you have to go to a quarry, to actually get that type of material that you actually gonna use to manufacture the blocks. And then with the machinery as well, it uses vibration. With ours, it's actually compression.
Okay.
Right? To actually create the blocks. So with the normal traditional one, it may be like your face brick. Your face brick, in essence, it is with whatever material that you're using, you're actually burning. You understand?
Yeah.
So basically, there is factories that are required for you to actually get your ovens and whatnot to actually burn, and then so that you can actually produce the blocks, so that you can actually do the construction with. With the Hydraform one, all you need, it is just soil. So basically, soil, it is something that we have abundantly, in abundance, everywhere. You understand? So all you have to do is just get a machine, get your soil, and then the water, it is something that you have in abundance as well.
Sounds incredibly easier, first of all, to manufacture, which begs the question, why was no one doing this before? And, on that question, you're reminding me of sort of when our grannies used to make huts, and they used to take the mud and compress it together with the water and then leave it out with the clay to sort of dry and build their houses that way. And then, here came industrialization telling us that the cinder blocks and brick and mortar was superior and better and much longer lasting. And it's sort of like, it sounds as if you guys are going, no, actually our old methods were quite sustainable and they were fine and they were long lasting. So if we were to talk about, I hear you on the environmental impact and how it's a thumbs up, it's a go, this is great. But let's talk about longevity now in terms of the actual quality of the products that Hydraform is offering.
Absolutely. I love the example that you made about the old granny hut that we used to. Those buildings are still standing to date. So you can never overwrite raw building material. Now, from a longevity perspective, I must mention this. South Africa is very fortunate when it comes to we do not have any natural disasters. But what about the other buildings elsewhere where there's earthquakes, there's a lot of blasting, etc.? The technology itself has been tried and tested. We have buildings that are still standing 35 years later. So Hydraform we were established in 1988. To your point about why have we not done this for the longest of time, I think change has taken us time as a country, but I must say where we are now is not where we used to be. The technology has always been embraced internationally because of the qualification of it from a quality perspective. But locally, it's taken us longer, but we are not where we used to be. We have a lot of buildings that are standing now, community buildings, hospitals, schools, low-cost housing, luxury houses, also in South Africa.
So, it's for everyone. Bafokeng, you've worked on some massive projects using Hydraform materials. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. So basically, I was on a project in Mthatha. There was a place called...
That's where I'm from!
Oh, is it?
Yeah!
So basically, we did low-cost housing for the Department of Human Settlements out in the Eastern Cape. So basically, there is a place called Ngangelizwe. So right there is actually... You can actually go and see the lives that we're changing. Right?
So tell me, you now go to a site, because you're telling me you use these raw earth materials. Obviously, you don't take those things there with you, right? You've eliminated all of these things like the burners and the stoves and the things for the carbon emissions and the face bricks and what have you. You're just using the soil, you're compressing it. Do you mean you went to Ngangelizwe and you just dug up there and you started?
So basically, okay, there is places whereby you get material. There is material, building material. So basically, you get your how can I put it? Building sand or whatnot from a quarry, and then you can actually purchase the material.
Builders.
So yeah.
Build it.
No, really build it. You just go to a quarry and then you get your material. So basically, you use G7. G7 is like your normal raw material. All you have to do is just sieve it. You sieve the material, and then after sieving it, so basically it's like 8 millimeter that you need to actually create a block. You get. So basically, all you have to do is just get to a quarry, and then you get a place, you get your machine. So basically, we're using machines, that two different types of machines, whereby you have the electrical, but then again, there is fuel machines as well. So in essence, that actually helps you when it comes to logistics, that you can actually just pull a machine, put it wherever it is that you want to do, wherever it is, like one site, that you can actually manufacture your blocks.
To that, sorry, Bafokeng. If I can add to that, Bafokeng spoke about mobility of our machines, and I wanted to speak to the point of how that has also been so beneficial for the blockyard that he's speaking about. Because remember, when you've got a building project for property developers, one of the greatest expenses is logistics, moving your material from
one place
where
to the
you're
next,
manufacturing it to on site. But the mobility part of our machines has actually been beyond beneficial, because you are on site and you are manufacturing there and you're cutting down on costs. It's a 30% cost saving.
It sounds like when you play Crazy 8 and then you pick and play, but you're not, it's like it's against the rules. You're not allowed to pick and play. But it sounds like that, like you make the thing there and then you pick and then you do, and then voila, it's a house. Congratulations, everybody, you've got a roof over your head.
And it's endless, because in addition to all these benefits that we're counting, we have not spoken or unpacked mortalist, the mortalist part of how these blocks also interlock. So the Crazy 8 card that you've just picked up, beyond that, you are not adding more time to the building of the wall, because then it's mortalist as you build up.
Listen, you're talking about mortalists, and now I don't trust you even more. Because I know how people build. There, you put the brick and then fag cement there, and then they put that little piece of string there to see if it's straight. Then you put again, and then so you're telling me there's no mortar. It's like Lego pieces basically. Build a block, and then it's a house, and then you live in it. And then when the wind comes, there've been tornadoes. I'm from there. I know there've been tornadoes. Okay, the wind blows, the hurricanes come, the earthquakes. There's no natural disasters, but there is global warming. So, hand on Bible, I hope not here, but let's not eliminate it from happening.
You cannot write it off. You cannot.
You're telling me nothing's going to happen to this house, but it's not stuck together with cement and mortar.
Okay, so basically, Sips, with Hydraform, the Hydraform block, it is like any other block. In essence, it is a building material. We have to remember that. So basically...
So what's the glue that you use to glue it?
Okay, before the gluing and whatnot, hence I say, the block itself is actually dependent on the weight. It is not like your very light block.
Got you?
It is a heavy block.
Because right? It's compressed.
But then again, you can handle it, yes.
Got
simply
you.
Because it's compressed. So now, you still have your roof, and then the mortar comes in. But then again, you only use 30%. On your whole entire building, you use it 30%, right? Which is, there is something we call the ring beam. So basically, above your windows, that's where you put minimal mortar.
Yeah.
Just to hold the whole entire structure. So basically, simply because you're going to tie the roof onto the structure itself. So with that, us having the mortar just on top, it actually counters the uplift when it comes to the roof. So basically, like you mentioned, your tornadoes, hurricane, and whatnot. That on its own, simply because of the weight, it is holding the whole entire structure down.
So you're telling me, okay, it's not like a giant Jenga, right? You know Jenga, and then you can if you push, because it's compressed. Most Jenga's compressed, and then if you push nicely on this one, then it'll come out on the other side. That's not going to happen on your house. You can't just push the one brick out.
I know exactly what you mean, and I've gathered from all this that you play a lot of games.
Yes, I love games. I love to win.
So it interlocks. It's impossible for you to do the Jenga concept.
Oh, because they're not sitting next to each other. They're like knotless braids. It's like they go into each other.
Yes. And then think about the example that you made, so simple. Think about the example that you made, that it's actually a Lego. It is like a Lego brick.
Got you.
Once you actually interlock in a Lego, it is not going anywhere. There is no movement of sorts.
Yeah.
And you're building, I wanted to make this point, that you're building your boundary wall simultaneously with your internal walls. So that interlock in its own, besides being it speaks to efficiency, but it's impossible to deattach that interlock between.
I'm glad you brought up efficiency. So now people are obviously building homes. This is not only a more sustainable and environmentally friendly way of building, but it's also more efficient in terms of time saved. Yes. Can you speak more to that and how it is that these interlocking compressed blocks can save a lot of time in the building process?
As we've mentioned, it is like you sticking your blocks. You understand? So basically, if you have like a mason that knows whatever it is that they're doing, is like that really, really knows their job. It is actually, all you need is just packing. You are packing. There is no mortar whereby you actually make sure that the line, once you actually know and understand the system, that you actually build up from the corners, and then everything actually just gels in.
Give me a timeline. How much time am I saving? Give me numbers.
Okay.
Because no one lies like hairdressers and construction workers and builders. They'll say, no, I'll finish in half an hour. That time's going to take another 35 days.
Let me give you this example. We have one of our best-selling machines. It's an M7M1 Super.
M7M1 Super. Did you hear that? Fancy.
It manufactures manufacturing about 2,400 interlocking blocks in a 9-hour shift.
So that's like a day.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, cool.
2,400. If you put it into perspective, you manufacturing, and you have your guys on site that are also building. That is
pick and play.
15 to 20. Remember, there's a curing process in between that we didn't discuss. But I wanted to say that in retrospect, if you're looking at numbers, which is what you're asking us, it's 15 to 25, 50 square meter houses in a month. So that should draw a better picture of output and efficiency.
So it's a lot of time that you save.
Yes. And that's not the top of the range. I'm talking about an M7M Super. I haven't spoken about the Ferrari of our range.
Speak about the Ferrari, girl. What?
So we've got a vast...
tell me about all your products. So start with the...
entry level.
Yeah.
Yes. Our entry level machine on a 9-hour shift is manufacturing 700 to 800 blocks, interlocking blocks per day. That's an M7M9, but top of the range, which we do have a very high demand for it, especially for our pre-existing block yards, local and international. So we've got people that have had other machines and they are adding on to because of the demand. Which is the M10 block yard system, that is the top of the range. That's manufacturing 6,000 interlocking blocks on a 9-hour shift. And I must admit, South Africa loves the 8-hour shift. But in our clients, most of our clients, international clients, are working on a 9-hour shift. Daily.
So, okay, get it together, South Africa. Listen, with the high inflation rate, obviously, and the rising cost of living, why do you think it would make more sense for developers to start using your technology?
Look, inherently, Hydraform, the concept itself, is actually to save costs, simplify. So basically, it's about simplicity. So with simplicity, you're actually more likely to actually save costs. So now you're looking at speed. The speed of construction, it's actually very, very fast. So you're saving on time. And then you come to the manufacturing process. The costs are actually controlled by you and your team that you have in the block yard. So basically, if you have an efficient team, you actually are more likely to actually manufacture more within a day. Thus bringing your cost of block, the cost of production, it actually will come down by you just actually having a more efficient team. And then after that, there is more other things that you can actually cut out when it comes to the construction. Like, let's just say your plaster work. You understand? So basically with the Hydraform block, I can actually just, instead of actually just plastering or making nice, I can actually just paint directly on top of the block.
Oh.
Understand? But then again, you will still get that good finish. You get. And then after that, there is, beyond that, there is with the finish of the block itself, it gives you like a face brick finish. You understand? So basically, you still get a good finish with putting little. You understand?
Yes.
You put in little money, but then again, you're getting very good quality at the end of the day.
And
So
authenticity, because soil differs from one area to the other. If you go to Limpopo, you'll find that the soil is light brown, and but just down the road, you find that it's another city and the soil is a bit more red. You really get a good authenticity of a brick, and you really wouldn't want to cover it. It's really beautiful. So we've got buildings all over. We've got one of my favorite ones is the Lagos fire station, which is still standing after many years. It's beautiful. But I love to display that, and also display the houses in East London, and in Eastern Cape, and display what we have in Kenya. And you start to see just the beauty of different types of authentic soil, just displaying beautiful buildings. And you'll find in Kenya, it's more red. So soil on its own is really, it's such a premium finish.
Yeah, I think so as well. But for people who like a more like luxury finish, then they've still got...
So we have a lot of
choices.
Correct. We have a lot of luxury houses as well that people have plastered. We have houses in Sandton also, luxury houses in Sandton that have used our technology from foundation to rooftop, that have initially started with the authentic brick and then later plastered. And it's beautiful. It's really choice for finishings.
Yeah. And also another thing is obviously, the heat and the
thermal properties.
Yes, the thermal properties will obviously save you in the long run because of, load shedding. Now people can't have their ACs on in the house.
Yes.
But we're literally going through a heat wave right now in Johannesburg.
Yes.
And if your house is cool, it's like a godsend. So that saves you so much in the long term.
Exactly.
Tariff hikes that are...
And then in winter, you don't have to worry about heaters and whatnot.
Absolutely.
And then in addition to that, Sibs, I just wanted to mention that you don't have to actually start your house from ground using only Hydraform.
Okay.
You can actually have a pre-existing house and then add whatever alterations or additions,
extensions. Our mothers love to extend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You can actually incorporate Hydraform in there.
In terms of sustainable housing and housing just generally in this country, there are a lot of shortcomings. There's a lot of things that need to be done, and a lot of people who don't actually have roofs over their heads that are long lasting and can, for me, it's like, if we can have this and it be tested and tried and so strong and like long lasting, why aren't we using this technology and these materials to sort of like house everyone in the country?
I think it's really there's always room for educating, and we are really being vigorous in doing that. Just educating our leaders, educating different communities on this technology. Everybody's got to be using it. We sit in a country where people lack dignified homes, and that is already pressing. You made a point earlier about just the impact of load shedding and where we are going if we look at the year ahead. We've got a serious housing backlog in this country, and people are living with disparities that we cannot even unpack in great detail. What this technology does is it combats, and it comes in as a solution from an efficiency perspective, also just from a willingness as a brand. We are willing as a brand to look at the fact that a hospital must not only serve my children, but my children's children and their children, etc. And we really want to see it empowering lives, changing lives, improving lives, and just really telling a different story, narrating a different story about people's livelihoods.
I love that you've brought in changing lives and impacting lives, because I've seen on your TikTok that you guys are taking a very sort of female-centered empowerment approach as well when it comes to Hydraform and just empowering the next generation, yes, and especially women.
Yes, we're really passionate about training.
Look, even in the project that we're working in your hometown, so basically, yes. So there were women that were actually working on site. So now it is one of those, like, you understand that with simplicity, it actually creates an opportunity and an opening for women to actually enter into the market and then be able to actually work with a male-dominated environment. At least in that way, we actually get to actually counter that as well.
Yes, and to address unemployment in the country as well. True. It's that's another point.
You guys are Miss Universe. You're Miss South Africa, Jay. Wanting world peace, jobs for everyone, put everyone in houses. I love this for you. Like, really, I'm so into it. Tell me a con. Are there any cons?
Look, it is like I said, you have to have like pretty skilled mason, you understand, to understand the system. Yeah. But then again, even if you get like people that are really not skilled, but then again, as long as there is someone who actually understands the system to actually teach them, it is actually a very simple, and then it is actually easier to actually get on. And then
the cons also, I think the cons also is when people try to cut corners. The quicker you notice how it is, because we do offer training as well, the quicker you notice how it is, and you are greedy to want to take on too many projects and you cut corners.
Okay, one of the cons is with the project that we're talking about, that I'm actually I was actually involved in the Eastern Cape. There was a contractor that actually did the houses before we got there.
Okay.
So we took over from another contractor. But then again, those houses were actually in a very bad state. That right now they're actually not inhabitable. You understand?
Yes.
So basically, simply because the material, as like the construction, was not done right. So even the material, as like the manufacturing of the blocks, it is one of those like my colleague said, trying to cut corners. So basically, you're just saying saving costs is like little less cement, but then again, you're compromising on quality, which is something that you just cannot afford to do.
And that's something you guys don't do at Hydraform.
We cannot do that. take pride in our product.
We have high quality assurance that needs to tick the box. You spoke about
Exactly.
Agrima. We have to be Agrima certified for so there's protocols before we can hand over a house.
Mpho and Bafokeng from Hydraform, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today.
Thank you.
Actually, we have a lot more to talk about, so I look forward to seeing you again in future. Otherwise, that is all I have for you for today's private property podcast. I'll bring them back. Don't worry. We'll talk more about the compressed situations of the situations, and even me actually this year when I build a house. I'm going to look into these guys because definitely they've got what it takes to build me the home of my dreams with carbon neutral alternative materials that are great for the environment, reduce my carbon footprint, and are sustainable throughout the years. Something I can leave a legacy for my children and my children's children and their children's children, and they can extend if they want to with the same bricks, and it'll be great. Anyway, that's all I have for you tonight. I have to go. I'll see you on the next episode of the Private Property Podcast. Good night.